Coach, tough physical game against a quality team in Stanford, and came out on the wrong side, but hard-fought game by both defenses in particular.
It was, I give a ton of credit to Stanford. They certainly won the football game. We didn't capitalize enough on the turnovers our defense created offensively to, put ourselves in a situation where we're on top. So, but I'll give them credit. They played hard. It's a good defense. Ran the ball, power football. We kind of knew that going in. We knew it was just going to be this type of game, and give a lot of credit to them.
And when you look at Stanford's offense and Kevin Hogan in particular, you knew the quality of the type of guy he is, but a tremendous athlete and did a nice job in a hostile environment.
He did. Young kid, second real start. Played a little against Colorado, then started last week against Beavers, and came in here and did a really nice job. Kept plays alive with his feet. And Ertz was as good as advertised, and so wasn't Taylor. So
your team entirely played the rear ends off, but your defense in particular, everybody looks to Stanford's defense and all the publicity that they get in that type of deal, and yet you guys stepped up time and time again defensively.
They did, and I'm really proud of those guys. A lot of those guys, didn't play much last week or at all, and came back, and can't fault them for their effort. We just needed to execute better.
And plenty of opportunities, and you talked about that a little bit. The takeaways and offensively in some plays, you guys had a lot of opportunities, and sometimes just a game of inches too.
It is. Ball bounces came out in overtime. We missed it. Missed a couple kicks. But that happens. Pac-12 play.
First loss in league, and Stanford now controls at least their own destiny, and yet you guys have a ton to play for with Oregon State coming up next week in the Civil War.
We do, and we always have a ton to play for. We got to go back to work on Monday and prepare for a real good Oregon State team up there. It's always hard to win in Corvallis, and our guys understand what's on the line, and it's on the line every day and every practice. So we'll come back to work on Monday.
All right, Chip. Well, thanks for your time. We'll talk to you next week after the Civil War.
All right, Chuck.
All right, Jerry, back up to you.
All right, go ahead and wait for the mic, guys. Raise your hand. Get to us. Go ahead, Rob.
You've spoken so highly of that defensive front. It looked like it was all it's cracked up to be. What going in was the general plan in terms of how you felt like you might be able to attack those guys and try to move the ball?
I think you had to mix it up on them. Obviously, and I think we threw it 37 times. You couldn't be one-dimensional against such a good front. Try to keep them off balance a little bit, and I think on our drives it worked. We kept them off balance, but just real impressed with those guys.
Coach, do you need to look at the film first before understanding what they did to prevent you guys from doing what you normally do so well?
I mean, we'll always look at the film to make it better, but I had a pretty good view on the field.
And your assessment?
Gardner's a good football player. Stevens is a good football player. Shane Scove's a good football player. Trent Murphy's a good football player. Chase Thomas is a good football player. They again
good football players too.
I know that, but those guys played a little bit better than us tonight. So I got to give credit to them.
You walk in there after a tough loss. What do you say to those guys?
I told those guys that it's tough and things aren't always going to go your way, and that's life. That's football. That's what it's all about. But I don't fault them for their effort, and it hurts so bad because they've invested so much. And as a group, it's a test for us, and we'll find out more about this football team when we get to practice on Monday and we see how we handle this situation. They've handled success, and now it's the first time they faced adversity, and then we'll see what they are. But I'm confident in how they'll come back from this. But it hurts, and as I told them, from my situation, you'd love to have some words that could kind of take the pain out of it, but there aren't. I think everybody will run this game over forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards, and you'll feel real bad for a little bit of time, but we got to bounce back from it. So.
Any other questions?
Coach, typically in games when teams have done a decent job against the running game, you guys have been able to go vertical, make some plays down the field in the passing game. How are they able to take that away as well?
A little bit of the pass rush, I think. Some of the extended routes, I think, Marcus didn't get a chance to set his feet. So, again, credit to that front in terms of pushing the pocket a little bit, and not letting him get comfortable. When we did have some clean looks, I think he did hit some kids, play to Keenan, getting Colt down the field a little bit. It's a good defense, good football team. We knew that coming in. They led the nation in a lot of categories, and they were as good as advertised.
Coach, it's not just your guys, but the kicking around college football this year, last year, hasn't been what it's been in the past. Any kind of reason for that? You see?
I don't know what other people, and I haven't studied that part, but we missed it, and we got to work and continue to work on it. And it's a difficult situation in a game like this. It may come down to that. So we'll look at the whole operation and see what we have to do to correct it.
Given that you've had so few attempts, I mean, that's a tough situation to put that kid in. Do you regret not kicking some field goals early? I mean,
we're always going to take 7 over 3, but I mean it would be kind of crazy if we said, hey, let's just try to kick a field goal in this situation. But
4th and 5 instead of 20, you're going all the time.
yeah, but a lot of that we're going for it, not all the time, but I think when we do go for it, it's we know what his distance is. So, when we're inside the 20, we're probably going to kick it. When we're in that, the ball's on between the 33 and out a little bit, that becomes a range thing, and that's just from our work and practice during the week and understanding of what we feel comfortable kicking. And it's, damn if you do, damn if you don't. If you don't get the 4th down, then you should have kicked it. And if you kick it, miss it, you should have gone for it on 4th down. So, that's why you don't sleep much at night after these games.
Hey, Chip, Rob Beard was kicking field goals earlier in the season in the Maldonado.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he tried one last week. No, I don't know if he tried one last week, but this week he did. He was your field goal kicker. Was that a competition thing for Alejandro? Did he beat out Beard essentially?
Yeah, we always have a competition that goes on during the week, and we made a switch. I think it was after the USC game, and felt real comfortable, and in terms of what he was doing from a practice standpoint. So.
Any other questions? I've got Varner
Some back
and
in there.
George in the other room. Questions? Over
There's
here.
some.
Go ahead.
Coach, you had the timeout going into OT. What was your plan going into OT? Obviously, you want to get 7. But what did you tell the guys going into OT?
We want to score a touchdown, and you don't get any timeouts. They don't carry over, so everybody just gets 1 timeout per overtime. So when we talk to our guys, have a plan going in overtime. What we're trying to do, try to take a shot and a play action pass on the 1st down, ran 2nd down to see if we get into a manageable 3rd down, and it didn't work out the way obviously we had talked about on the sideline.
Chip, you guys take pride in how you practice. You say you win because of your preparation. A lot of potential distractions this week. Number 1 for the first time for a lot of these young guys. The injury stuff. Just comfortable with practice, I guess, this week.
Yeah, I thought we practiced outstanding. One thing we do pride ourselves, we don't make excuses. So, the number 1 stuff and the injury stuff and all that, that's everybody else got to deal with it. So to say that's just an excuse if you use that, and we don't make excuses. Stanford played better than us tonight, and they won the football game.
Final offensive drive, you went to Barner a few times, kept him on the ground a fair amount. What was kind of the thought process with going with that over the vertical approach?
The final offensive drive in overtime or in 2 minutes?
Regulation.
We felt like we were trying to get, put ourselves in a situation. We had timeouts to use, so you can run the ball in those situations. They were in some nickel looks where, if you block it right, you're going to run it in the right situation. So we tried to hit Kenyon twice up in there, but we had timeouts to use. That's why we ran the football.
Coach, Mariota's been a guy that a lot of people have said doesn't get rattled in during a game. Today maybe seemed like he was off on a few throws. Do you think the Stanford defense got to him a bit back there in today's game?
Yeah, I think the Stanford defense got to all of us. They did a nice job. It's a good front, and they pushed the pocket. And I don't think Marcus was rattled from any stretch of imagination. But when any quarterback doesn't get an opportunity to set his feet, I think that becomes a difficult deal for him. But I was really proud with how Marcus played today.
Coach, it looked like during the game the Stanford defensive backs were doing a really good job pushing past the blocks. It didn't look like the edge blocking by the receivers was up to what we were expecting. Is that just based on the size and physicality of their defensive backs, or was that something different that they did scheme-wise today?
No, I don't think it was a size and physicality thing, but I think there were a few instances where those guys did a nice job of getting off the blocks and making plays. And when you play a real good team like this, it comes down to executing. And they execute a little bit better than we did, and that's why we're sitting here with frowns on our faces, and they're in their locker room with smiles on theirs. It's a game. The game of football is about execution, and they executed better than we did today. So